Welcome to the Elite Insights with Toni Patillo, where wisdom meets legacy. I'm your host, Toni Patillo. And on this show, we really highlight trailblazers who are bringing fresh perspectives, powerful strategies, and lasting impact to the way we live, the way we build, the way we build wealth for that matter, and how we create legacy. And today I'm really thrilled to bring to you a guest who's reimagining what it means to be a CPA. And when what really triggered me was his name, and it's he's not the traditional tax preparer. He's the CPA dude. And I just love that. The CPA dude. It just like completely connects with people who are like hip, cool, and really looking to build wealth, and it's just a relatable guy. That's what I love about the CPA dude. So thank you. Welcome. We've got Toni. Is it Hong?
Yep, Hong,
Hong.
like Hong
So you
Kong.
got
Yep.
Toni Hong. Listen, let's just dive in. Let's just go for it. And Toni, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us today. We really
Oh,
are excited about what you have to bring to the table.
yeah. Thank you for having me here, Toni. I'm super excited to just keep the convo going and bring some insights
Great.
today.
So tell us a little bit about, like I said, I love this brand, the CPA Dude. What inspired you? What's the story behind the name?
Oh yeah. So the story behind the name is actually kind of like a reflection of myself. So my wife actually came up with it, and it was just the tax world. It's so much fancy
Yeah.
jargon, and it was like no one understands what you're trying to say. And I'm a pretty simpleton person, and my life motto is always KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And how can you just boil down the
Mm.
tax code into something digestible? And it was just like, hey, dude has that connotation. And the other part was just having a lot of other companies that
Mhm.
normally they're
Mhm.
named Anderson
Yeah.
Johnson LLP, and I just didn't want to be Hong and Associates LLP. I wanted to have
Something
something
cool.
different. So, and I've always never been your traditional accountant.
Yeah, I love it. I'm telling you, it was your name. When I saw the CPA Dude, I said, okay, I want to talk to him. Y-
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you worked
Yeah.
with the IRS, and you worked with these big four firms and major tech companies. What did these experiences really teach you? Yeah, that's very.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear about that. All of these big tech firms. What inspired you to roll out and start your own brand?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was at KPMG with one of the big four accounting firms, it was just very traditional in a sense. I mean, they're the biggest in the
Mhm.
world for a reason. There's a lot of world-class
Mhm.
processes, but it's so
Mm.
rigid. And that just didn't work right well with how I view things and how I want to do things. I'm more on the, hey, let's go fast, then fix our errors along the way, keep on going faster, just to see what you can do. And then also it was just not very tech oriented. So I also double majored in information systems back in the day. So it's like always knowing, hey, what tech can you bring
Yeah.
towards that side? Like I stood out pretty easy when I worked in corporate because like an accountant that knows how to use tech is like, or to like that level degree
Yeah.
was kind of rare.
Sure.
And then, yeah, when I worked at Uber and DoorDash, those were really fast moving companies. So Uber, why they have so much bad press though is because they go
Mhm.
fast and mess things up along the way, but they go
Yeah.
really fast, right? And being in the tech area, these folks move lightning fast here. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, I remember one day I was just sitting there with my manager and my director, and then the director goes over to the manager, is like, oh, hey, did you see XYZ's message? And then like, wait, I saw it, but then he didn't see it, and it was only like 4
Wow.
hours ago. And then they just move that fast over there, and I was just like, oof. But that's the speed that they move at, and it's really been a breath of fresh air for just the accounting
Mhm.
tax industry. Like, you don't see, because usually we get a whole bunch of folks and are like, oh, my, past CPA, they didn't, took weeks, months to get a response. And I'm
Wow.
like, you'd be toast in the tech world if you
Right,
responded that slow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool because it is important to fold in the tech and the theory
Mhm.
and the personality and the relationship aspect of things. So I realize how important that is. So that's great that you've attacked that. So um, I want to talk a little bit about the tax strategies and real estate focus. Many of our listeners are real estate investors, okay, and or they're real estate professionals as well, but real estate investors. What are some of the biggest tax mistakes that you see investors make?
Oh, there's a few. The big one I would say is not knowing how to
Mhm,
use it the right way. So it's a
mhm,
double-edged sword, but if they don't have a real estate specific CPA, it's
mhm,
kind of the most dull sword you'll see
mhm,
around. So the tax code's written for real estate, written for businesses and charity. I'd tell you
mhm,
those are your big three. And in the real estate place, we'll see where you have a realtor, for example, or you have a stay-at-home
mhm,
partner and they're not using real estate
mhm,
professional status. And what that status is, I always call it the unicorn of tax strategies, is that it allows you to take all the passive losses because by default, the IRS says all rental activities passive unless you meet one of
mhm,
these loopholes. And that real estate professional status is one of those loopholes.
mhm,
So not using what
mhm,
they're given to their fullest advantage. And I'm like, oh wow, I'll see realtors come in and I'm like, you didn't use all the depreciation? I'm, like,
yeah,
shocked by it. So, 1, that's the first one, not using real estate professional status available. 2 is, if you have some good cash flowing properties, you're not using cost segregation
mhm,
studies. So, that's just a way to accelerate all the depreciation that you're
mhm,
entitled to. It's how the rich don't pay taxes and why you wanna
right,
use leverage. And then 3 is, like, they have Airbnbs, and they're not even aware of the short-term rental loophole. And I'm just like, I was like, I look at him like, "Hey, this is a, Mark III vacation property." I'm like, "Is this an Airbnb?"
mhm,
You look at it because like, it's the rental
sure,
income so high, and then it is, and then you scroll back on the prior year returns, and it's not taken. I was just like, "Oh my goodness." I'm like, there was no, don't get me wrong, you don't invest for tax purposes. Don't let the,
right,
tail wag the dog, but that's a massive cherry on top you're missing out. So those are big 3 ones that I see across, returns when we come
hmm.
across new clients.
Wow, that's we gotta get your information because I know there's a lot of people that need your help
Uh-huh.
because there is a lot of
Uh-huh.
misconception about what you can do, what you can't do, and, it's important to understand there are options. There are options,
Yep.
and you can choose those options, but what's beautiful is that you understand what those options are. What are some of the
Oh, yeah.
lesser known strategies real estate professionals and business owners can use to keep more of their money?
Oh yeah, lesser known ones, one big part that, especially with the new tax bill that just passed, on
Mm,
July 4th, the One Big Beautiful Act is, now bonus
yeah.
depreciation is back to 100%. So using depreciation in like as part of your tax strategy for business owners and real estate investors, this is for
Mhm,
both of them. So the big part is I always tell folks is, say if you just use a simple example is, even if you wanted to buy a 6,000 pound car, is, Section 179, and you can buy, a heavy vehicle, put $1,000 down, take a loan out on
mm,
the remaining balance, and you're able to write off the whole vehicle though using bonus depreciation, even though you only put $1,000 out. So on a $100,000 car, say the first year you only put out, a total payment of like
mhm.
12 grand, then you still get a $100,000 write off as long as you use it for business and
Really?
real estate. So now you just made up $88,000 out of thin air of expenses that you
Yeah.
didn't have to pay for. And that's where time value money compounds, right? Like a dollar today is better
Right?
than a dollar tomorrow. So you got to take the money
Mhm.
when it's here. So that's one big thing that, I would say is lesser known, of like how to
Yeah.
use leverage to build more wealth and play the tax game
Mm.
efficiently. Other Another area is income shifting. This is one of our favorites is like shifting income, whether it's
Yeah.
paying kids, if you have a parent or a sibling that you support and making them work,
Mhm.
they can't just get
Mhm.
handouts, you got to
Yeah.
earn it a little bit. So, but shifting that towards them is huge where there's different tax brackets. So say if you're doing well off, where California's 50% tax rate at the highest rate here between
Mhm.
federal and state. And say if you just go pay, you got 2 kids, pay them each 15 grand, that's $30K you're gonna write off, but at a 50% tax rate, that's $15,000
Wow.
saved on taxes. So moving money around that you're spending
Mm.
already, though, that's what I
Mhm.
tell folks. Like, it's, hey, make them work. Bring them out to listings. That's totally fine too. Bring them out to property. Hey, make them. My mom put me to work when I was 11, and I used to pack to go orders at her Chinese
Wow.
restaurant. So yeah, she used to put, I think it was like $400 in my account
Oh,
a
oh,
month.
that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
So
And where were you guys
yeah,
based?
exactly.
What city?
Oh, yeah, so this was in a rural town, small town, Fairmont,
Wow.
Minnesota. It was 10,000 people where we're the only, well, it was us and 2 other Asian families, a nail salon owner and
Oh,
the other Chinese
wow.
restaurant owner, and it was just rural Minnesota, and now I'm near San Francisco, but, it was a great area to be raised up
Mhm.
at, just really humble beginnings, and, you keep things very simple and just enjoy the simple things
Absolutely.
in life.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
what I love, Tony, is I see myself in you because we both are strategists in our respective lanes. And I think what is really unique, especially in today's environment, is that we have to be strategists for our clients because we need to be able to give them options and we need, without telling them what to do. Like, we're not here to tell you what to do, we're here to tell you what your options are and what we can do and we can give you input on those options. And I just love, I can tell right out of the gate you're a strategist. And that's what people need. People need somebody who understands the big picture, who understands all of the elements of what's going on today, because we have a lot of elements that are happening today. We've got World War III, we've got tax inflation, tax and economy inflation. We have ice raids. We've got, all these different things. We had the fires, we had the pandemic, we had the elections, I mean, just left and right. We have all these things, right? So you have to be able to be a strategist with your clients so that they understand that there are options for them. It's not just black and white, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If it was black and white, AI will
That's
wipe us
right.
out. Yeah, but it's not, right? It's everyone's situation is
Mhm.
different. There's always one fact that will throw off the
Mm.
whole
Mhm.
equation, and it keeps it
Yeah.
fun though, at least. It's a game of chess
There
the
it
whole
is.
time.
It's a game of chess. But see, look at you. You're smiling. This is what you love. You
Uh-huh.
love this. This is not just a job for you. I can feel your presence is you understand your genius. You understand what you are here to do. And we can talk a little bit about that if you want to, because I think it's important for people to love what they do, and it's not just a job for generating income. Can you talk a little bit
Oh,
about
yeah,
that
no, life's
from your perspective?
yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, life's too short,
Mhm.
like, to do that. Like, life's really like, I see, people had actually a buddy pass last week,
Right.
and I was like, "Oh my goodness." It's why do something you don't love doing every
Mm.
single day? And yeah, I understand there's different circumstances, but you can find your path towards that. I always think that, hey, if you can, everyone has the same
Yeah.
24 hours a day. And it's like, hey, in today's economy, you can do
Mm.
anything actually. Back in the day, when my parents came over, there wasn't
Yeah.
a lot, right? Of lot of information, internet access, TikTok,
Mm.
but now why don't you do what you
Mhm.
wanna do? That's the big thing there, and, understanding your North Star, I think you have to go through the trials and tribulations to know what
Yep.
your North Star is, but once you figure that out, then it's great, and, my own North Star is just serving
Mm.
folks. Like, yeah, I always know, "Hey, just take care of people, they'll
Mm.
take care of you." Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't, which is fine,
Yeah.
but, I like to sleep easy at night that, I gave 110% to
Mm.
that person, and I tried
Mhm.
my best, and knowing that's the big part, so it took a while, like, I tried a whole bunch of different things, I worked corporate. That was fun, but it was like, you would save money for big corporations,
Yeah.
like millions. They just don't, you tell, like, the head of 3M, was like fun. It was like, hey, we found a refund of you for
Mhm.
$1,000,000.
Mhm.
They're like,
Mhm.
cool. And I was like, oh, dang. Versus, now it's like, even if we go save someone $800 on their
Yeah.
LLC fee, they're like ecstatic. Like, you can tell the difference, like what $800
Sure.
can mean to one person versus a big corporate,
Yep.
$1,000,000. They're like, all right,
Yeah.
spit in the river, right? They didn't mind. Yeah. And then was this like, am I doing this the right
Mm.
way? Like, I got the CPA license. So I knew like that kind of blocked me in the way
Yeah.
of where I want to go. But, originally, I did the whole accounting thing because my parents always asked me, how do we save more money in
It's
taxes too?
interesting.
And yeah, they had their Chinese restaurant. They're like, okay. And then they got into real estate investing. That's where I got a lot of like the school of hard knocks, like did all the property management, the
Mhm.
repairs and everything. And then you really understand it. And then it was just like, hey, now you get to practice all on their
Mm.
taxes. So yeah, my thing is just have fun in
Wow.
what you do. Like, yeah, it's not always be sunshine and rainbows, but are
Yeah.
you fulfilled though, ultimately every single day?
Absolutely. And so what would you say when you say what is your definition of being fulfilled in your industry, in your particular profession? What is it to be fulfilled?
Oh yeah, fulfilled wise, there's three main things that for myself, on the professional front, it's really just finding
Mhm.
ways to dissect the tax code for
Mhm.
our clients and help them navigate it. It's so
Mhm.
confusing anyways. And then, when we get those big wins of like, hey, sweet, we just found 10, 20, thirty
Wow.
thousand dollars extra for them, it really changes them for, it's like it's a significant
Mhm.
amount for them. So it's great. That's always like finding cool strategies or just helping them give them
Yeah.
that peace of mind. So the tax code is just so like I had a guy yesterday who called and he was just very like unsure about having a big
Mm.
schedule C and his expenses and the
Mhm.
audits. So giving those people the peace of mind is really, that's keeps me
Yeah.
fulfilled. And the second part is really, hey, if just as much as I can, hang out with my wife and golden retriever. So we take her out for a walk
Yeah.
every day and that just keeps it simple. Also part of the secret sauce to my stress relief. So someone asked me, "How do you deal with stress?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I kind of reflected on my day and I was like, "Oh, I guess I've been doing this and I didn't even know." But it was just one, just going
Mhm.
to the gym in the morning, then two, after work's over, I take the dog out for a
Mhm.
walk. So those two simple things is to reduce stress. And then lastly, it's just, hey, have a little bit of fun for yourself.
Yeah.
Personal development is, you
Yeah.
can always improve. So lately I've been um, going through all these type of kind of like marketing and branding and
Mhm.
sales trainings and just seeing how other professionals
Mhm.
do it because you're always going to be a student of the
Absolutely. It
craft. It never
never
stops.
stops. We
Yeah.
always are learning. I don't care
Yeah.
how old you are, how many degrees you have. There's never a dull moment. We always have things to study on and things to learn, right? And
Yeah.
particularly
Yep.
in
Yep.
our environment, I know as a real estate broker, I have to stay very tuned in to the daily anything is subject to change. So just what I learned 20 years ago in real estate is completely different today. So if I don't stay on top of it, then I'm left in the wings, right? So it's
Mhm.
the same for your profession, I'm sure, your industry. Things change constantly. And so you have to stay on top of that change. So there's no you never graduate. You can say you graduated, but you really it's a continuous learning, staying on top of your game, staying ahead of the curve. And that's key. That is key for anybody today who's talking to their clients or who are up against maybe you've got several other peers that are going after the same client. What differentiates you? What differentiates you? And so I would ask you that question. Tony, what
Oh yeah.
differentiates you from your other peers?
Yeah. Other peers, I probably just say the big part is just actually
Yeah.
practicing what we preach. So a lot of the strategies are actually ran on my own
Mm.
taxes. So,
Mhm.
if I recommend something,
Mhm.
I would say 95 times out of
Yeah.
100 have done those things on
Yeah.
my own taxes. So that's kind of a big part. But then also just having the actual
Mhm.
experience with it. So being a real estate investor myself, running a
Mm.
business, working in
Mhm.
W-2. So just being your own
Mhm.
guinea pig is the
Mhm.
big part. And then just at the end of the day, just actually still caring. I think
Yeah.
sadly enough, our industry, the tax and accounting industry, a lot of people are burnt out,
Mm.
they're fried, and they're just, hey, just get the
Mhm.
return done, see you next
Mhm.
year. And it just doesn't have enough, like, client service
Yeah.
towards it. It's just like, "Hey, they're coming to you, and they're investing
Right.
in you," and they always say, like, "Find yourself a good CPA in your life, and you really wanna be a lifelong partner." I always joke with, like, our new clients. I'm like, "Oh, looks like we're dying together." Like, it's just, nothing's guaranteed but death
Right,
and taxes,
right.
so it's we're in it for
Yeah,
the long haul
yeah.
here.
That's beautiful, though. It's beautiful because, like you say, that we're in this for the long haul. This isn't a one and done
Yeah.
type of thing, right? So
Yeah, for yourself, I'd say, at your periods of time throughout
mhm.
your career, what would you say would be, like, the couple, like, big highlights that, like, really put yourself ahead of the
Well, I
game?
would say AI is made a huge
Mhm.
difference in my business. I was one of
Oh,
42
nice.
the first 42 agents in the world to become AI certified, and it was a 5-day process all day. It was literally like 40 hours for the week, and,
Oh,
it
wow.
was rigorous, but the beautiful thing is they allowed me to bring my team. And my team, they're younger, they're smarter, they're into the whole tech thing, and I there's no way I could do this without my team, right? So, that's one thing that I would say differentiates me between the other agents right now, is that I am exercising AI, and I utilize it so that I can spend more quality time with my clients, and that we can deliver the marketing and the systems and the things that we need to do to best uh, position their home for a high price and the shortest amount of time possible. Now, today's market is a little different. We have a little slower market, but that's because all of those things that I mentioned earlier about the pandemic, the elections, the fires, the natural hazard disclosure, the ice rage, the this, the that, all these things create a big bowl of uncertainty. So most of the people today are dealing with uncertainty, especially if they're looking at the news, especially if they're staying on top of what's going on in the world. It can be a little depressing and it can be a little daunting. So, what do people do when they are experiencing a lot of uncertainty? They don't do anything. They just sit and they wait to see what's gonna happen next. And the truth is, interesting enough, people love to invest. They love to invest in real estate. I have clients that start itching after 3 to 4 years, and they're like I have a couple of clients now who we just closed on their purchase. This is 2nd or 3rd purchase, but they're already ready to do something, but it's not time. And so people love doing real estate transactions. But this, where we're at right now, there's a ton of uncertainty, and which equates to still, just be still and be quiet and just wait. So, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then the AI, at least in the AI will make it
yeah,
faster. I like that part where you mentioned more time with the
absolutely.
relationship. That's the
Yeah.
key part here, and, I think people miss that by a mile
Mhm.
sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's that at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, hey, AI is gonna be here to speed things up and maybe even replace you, but they can't
That's
replace
right.
the
That's
relationship.
exactly correct, and when you
Yeah.
understand that, then you know that you have to make best efforts to keep that personal contact in order, because there are gonna be a lot of things that AI can replace and make more efficient, but you can't fear it. You have to embrace it. And when you embrace it,
Oh, yeah.
then it becomes fun because now you're learning something new, right? And you're playing with it. It's like, oh, it
Yep.
can do this. Oh, wow, it can do that. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, it's like, this is pretty good because it's helping me to be more efficient at the same time as creating a little bit of time. And as you know, time flies today. Before we can bat an eyelash, it's like 6 o'clock, you know, and it feels like we just got up. But I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, but this time thing is really intense. And I think it's because of
Oh, for sure.
technology.
Oh, it flies, yeah, that every day. I'm like, I don't it almost, like, changes by, like, the year. I'm like, "Is time going
Hmm.
faster?" Like, Like you say, I was like, you look up, oh, it's 6 already. All
Right.
right, cool. I guess it's that time. I should probably
Yeah,
go get some
right.
dinner.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting today because it's not it used to be that as you get older, the time goes by faster, right? That's what they said. That's what they did say. But I know kindergartners, I know little kids that are like, "What's going on? The time is flying." It's for them, it's they don't know what it is, but they just know that, we went from waking up to now it's time to go to bed. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's just talk about some of your client success stories. Where the right tax strategy made a huge difference in somebody's ability to build wealth. Can you share a story with us? Y-
Oh,
yeah, that
sure,
would be cool.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would say so one, they can be as big and small. I'll use a big or small example, you can move to a big
Mm-hmm.
example too, just so I just want
Mm-hmm.
everyone to know, like, no matter what, you're
Right.
never too small, right? And so you can even go as well, we go super micro. So micro level, we had one client, they were just there's the mom and pop exception for
Mm-hmm.
real estate. And this one is simply where if you make less than $100,000 a year and you have a rental property that you self-manage, you can take up to a $25,000 loss without having to go through any extra hoops as long as you just
Mm.
self-manage it. So they call it the mom and pop exception because it's usually like, you're starting out and you're becoming, you're just starting to earn income, you
Yeah.
saved some good money, and now you're ready for your first rental property. That they can get $25,000 off on their taxable income. So go from 100 grand down to 75 grand and save a decent chunk. Now, once you elevate and you go up a little bit more, say you're making $250,000, between husband and wife
Mm-hmm.
together, and they get into this was one actually they were around 250,000, and then they bought a out of state property. They're
Mm-hmm.
in California. They bought an out of state property in Kentucky, and I think the property is only about 400 grand. But most of that property, though, was actually the building and land value is like nothing
Right.
in Kentucky. So we were able to depreciate almost like a good chunk of it. So we're able to wipe away that $250,000 of income
Mm.
from your W-2
That's a lot.
and would go to zero. Yeah, exactly, on a
Oh,
$400,000 purchase, which was only
yeah.
$80,000 down, right? So, it was on a 20% down, so they were able to pay no taxes that year, and so that's kinda like, the middle size, and then the real, one of our bigger clients, they pay essentially nothing on federal taxes, so they rolled back California, they pay taxes. California is not the friendliest
I
state for
know.
taxes,
No kidding.
but essentially they had yeah, they had like about
Mm.
2,000,000, yeah, 2,000,000 in
Mm-hmm.
taxable income that year. They both run businesses, and then where they were able to buy enough real estate to offset the full 2,000,000. So they saved about
Mm.
$600,000 in taxes. But when you're at that level, you just take that $600,000 and then you just go use that as your next
Right.
down payment, and then you can go buy $3,000,000
Yeah.
worth of property, and then the snowball just starts keep going and going. But the biggest part is just to start and do something, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier. People are waiting,
Mm-hmm.
waiting, waiting, sitting on the
Mm-hmm.
sidelines. Next thing you know, 4 years pass and
Right.
you've done nothing, versus doing something
Yeah.
is better than
Yeah.
nothing, in my
I
opinion.
agreed. I totally agree. Doing something
Yeah.
is better than doing nothing. It's like making a decision. When, people that don't make the decisions just stay stagnant. You make a decision, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision, either way, you're going to move the needle, right? So,
Yep.
it
Exactly.
is key to make decisions and to not operate out of lack or fear, because that's going to block you too. What you think you create, right? And it'll
Yep, exactly. Then you guys gotta remind yourself, "Hey, what's
right,
the goal?" I review my goals
right.
3 times a day. You'll use track of it if you don't review it, so it's gotta be so crystal
That's
clear right in
so
front of you.
true. And I also realize that
Yeah.
you got to do affirmations that will go into your subconscious that work on your exterior, if you would. I know it's a little out there, but it's very powerful. So, being very clear about what you want and why. You don't have to worry about the how. You just have to know what you want and why, right? So, and that,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
key.
you got to know,
Yeah.
because the how is not our business. We have to turn it over to the universe. Let the universe orchestrate the hows, right? And and the specifics of how you get there, right? But it's
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. So, who how do you simplify tax strategies that clients may feel is a little overwhelming for them? How do you what are some of the things that you do to simplify these strategies?
Yeah, yeah. I draw a lot of I use a lot of like random silly
Mhm.
examples to draw them into like basic
Mhm.
terms. So you always complain like compare like you have a tax plan, and I always call it a tax plan. It's like the blueprint to building a
Mhm.
house, or it's like, hey, it's like your workout plan to
Mhm.
your workout. So some plan in place to
Mhm.
tackle it. Right, so that's the big part of just using that example, and then trying to explain the whole bonus depreciation, accelerated
Mhm.
depreciation. Essentially, what I just tell folks is that, hey, you're just lighting your deductions on fire and making them go
Right.
faster. So, it's an expense you don't have to
Mhm.
pay for because the government incentivizes you to take out loans,
Right, right, right.
right? And then, the other parts of tax strategy is a lot of
Mhm.
deferral. So, you're putting your money into your 401ks, your SEP IRAs, your
Mhm.
Roth IRAs, and I would say that's just like kicking the can
Yeah.
down the road. You'll pay
Yeah.
it back later. So that's like your deferral parts. So a lot of those areas, I just gonna make some silly analogies to
Mhm.
them all, and then sometimes like my wife listens to me. I'm like, "What did you say?" Like we'll go
Yeah.
on our walks, and she's like, "Did you know you said that?" I'm like, "Yeah, no." Yeah, she's like, "That sounds awkward," but I'm like, "All right." Yeah, the example has to be clear or
Yeah.
basic enough for
Yeah.
people to grasp, I guess.
But
Yeah.
it's true. Uh, it's nice that you can kinda go through this with your wife, okay? It's kinda bounce things off your
Yeah.
partner and see it, because for you, you understand this language. This is your world. But for those of us who are not in your lane, we have to kinda think about, you have to dumb it down, in other words. You dumb it down and simplify it so
Oh,
that we can really get it. And utilizing stories
yeah.
is a key way to get it. When I hear stories, there's something
Oh,
that
yeah.
triggers. I go, "Oh, okay, so now I understand." But without the story, you're kind of like, it's going over. It's like going over my head, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The story, and then, we started
Mm.
pairing in, whiteboarding
Mm.
too. So I bought one of those Vibe digital
Okay.
whiteboards, and that and the iPad too. I'll share
Mhm.
screen sometimes, and I'll draw it out. I really ugly stick
Yes.
figures and but some
Yes.
arrows
Mm.
and some numbers, and because this stuff just it's just dense and it's cut dry and boring. I'm the only weirdo that
Right.
loves this stuff, but, when you draw it out, they kinda
Mm,
click a little bit more. Like, sometimes I'll just watch the
right.
person's eyes, and then I can just see it.
Mhm.
Like, they're like, "Oh, that's what you've been saying this
Right,
whole time?"
right. No, but that's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful
Mhm.
that you've recognized that, people have to see something before they start to digest it. Whereas you know what it is
Yeah.
because this is your world and this is what you do. But for those of us who this is not our lane, it really helps for us to see it. And it really helps that somebody breaks it down in a layman's term. In other words, I got a note from one of my producers that I work on these shows with, and I'm putting together a project that is for real estate professionals. But I really have to dumb it down. That's what he said, Tony. You got to dumb this down so that even a 3-year old will understand what you're relaying here. It can't be complicated. So I like and you do that with stories and you do that with really basic analogies, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, that's yeah, sometimes I can't remember the psychology term where you're so good at it, you can't even explain it
Right?
anymore. I can't remember. I learned that term in psychology. I was
Mhm.
like, "Really?" But now, like, when I work with other tax
Mhm.
professionals and I hear them like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I know what you're talking about now." It's just like, "What did
Mhm.
you say in layman's
Mhm.
terms?"
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about any you've had I'm sure you've got tons of client stories. And I wanna share I want you to share a client success story where the right tax strategy made a huge difference in their ability to build wealth.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, there's a ton. Oh, shoot, man, who should we pick on this side? I'd say probably I think the most, like, impactful one is just really where we had one guy, and he was just working his day
Mhm.
job, and he was doing well, but it's just you can tell that it wasn't he fulfilled by it. And, him spinning up a
Mhm.
business and, getting into a couple asset classes that were able to help with
Yeah.
depreciation kinda made the big differences there. So, essentially, they were working a day job and, W-2 jobs are not the most best for
Mhm.
tax purposes. And then they were just like, all right, their company went public that year, had some extra cash. So then where he was just like, okay, what can I do? And I'm like, "What
Mm.
are you interested in?" And he's just like, "Oh, crypto is pretty cool right now. I kinda want a
Wow.
new car." And then I'm like,
Mhm.
"Cool, let's do it." And then so what we ended up doing for him was using Section 179, which is literally just allows you to write off a crap load of your
Yep.
equipment the first year. So we ended up buying crypto miners.
Mhm.
So he's mining
Wow.
Bitcoin now, and he just took that money against it, and he's just into crypto. So he's got a Bitcoin miner, a few of
Yeah.
them actually, and that's he's mining them. We're able to write it off
Yeah.
on his taxes. And then he said he wanted a new car that year, and I was like, "Okay, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices." But, we ended up buying a BMW X5, and we put that on Turo, where you can rent it
Mm.
out to the market. It's like the
Mhm.
Airbnb for cars. And then we were able to use it as a business asset, write it all off
Mhm.
for him that
Mhm.
first year using Section 179, the bonus
Mm.
depreciation again. So that 90 grand car post tax was only about
Wow.
55 grand. And then he got all Bitcoin miners, at 50% off
Mm.
that year just because of Section 179. So he's got a couple
Mm.
fun toys now that, he's a little bit more interested in that can
Yeah.
supplement his
Yeah.
day job. But that was always a fun one when they're a blank slate and they're down to listen and to, execute on what your
Mhm.
vision is for them. And yeah, dude, we just rolled with it there. So it's always asking them, what do you want to do and how can we make this tax
Right.
efficient for you if we can? Sometimes we have to be the bearer of bad news and I'm like, hey, can we write off the Louis Vuitton bag? And I'm like,
Well.
sorry. Like, what if I put a monogram on it? And I'm like, I mean, maybe like a big stamp of your logo, maybe, but it's still a tough one. So sometimes we're the bearer
Yeah.
of bad news and I say, hey, don't shoot the messenger.
That's right. Oh, that's cool though. Uh, we really do have to work with our clients in a different way. It's like a service-oriented way. We recommend things, we give them options, and we have them look at their scenario and then make the decision on their own.
This is a fun thing
Mhm.
I learned. I got two not inflexible,
Mhm.
too flexible, and I present them all the options. But then after that, like you said, they were standing on the sidelines. Analysis paralysis happened,
Analysis paralysis.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, 2 quarters passed and they didn't do
Mm.
anything. And I was just like, guys, we seriously have to do something. Otherwise, you're not going to
Right.
save any money.
That's right, it's gonna
Like,
cost you money.
so then
It ends up costing you money. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so it's just like, "Hey, we got" like, I'd say yeah, I'm sure you come up with amazing
Mhm.
recommendations, but it's like, you still have to
Yeah.
pick one. Like, it's just not like, you're in and out, right? You still gotta pick
Right.
one thing. You can't just
Yep.
stare at the menu
That's
all day.
it's really it's real. There's so many analysis paralysis. That's a perfect way to explain what we are dealing with in today's market. And even you in the CPA area and the financial area, myself in the real estate brokerage area, our clients are the same. We work and service the same clients, or client types, if you would. But this thing that's happening in the world has got people in this paralysis, analysis of paralysis stage for every industry. Everybody's just sitting and waiting. People don't know if their jobs are going to be there because of the AI stuff. Um, we don't know what's happening with the next election, which, there's a midterm election coming up. So they're going to be waiting to see what's happening there. And it's a little spooky, but it's real, it's real. and
Yep.
in your
Yeah,
industry,
exactly.
in my industry, and there's several other industries that are experiencing the same thing where people are just waiting. And it's the fear of making a mistake,
Mhm.
right? They don't wanna make a mistake, so they just don't do anything, right? It's
Yeah,
well,
exactly. I do at least there's one upside of your industry, it's just like
yeah,
the home
it
will
will
still
be
be
there.
there.
Yep,
Still need a roof.
yeah,
Yeah, uh-huh. It's the, man, what was that one? It was back in Disney back
yeah,
in the day, like,
yeah.
in the '90s, there was, like, the home was a smart
Mhm, I
home,
remember.
and they talked to it, and then the home took over the
Yeah,
house or something. I don't think it'll
yeah.
get there, but that was
That was
actually
ahead
really
of
ahead
its
of its
time,
time, though, but
and it's real today. I mean,
yeah, uh-huh, yeah,
when
you
you
have
think
everything.
about being able to turn on your jacuzzi before you even get home by just plugging in a certain number of passwords or whatever it is, sign in credentials. There's so many things you can do today that we never had any idea, and we were really would never imagine that we would have a driverless Uber. It's like with Waymo. Now you're in
Oh,
Northern
yeah.
California, right? Or y-
Oh, yep, yep, I'm right near San Francisco, about 15 miles north of
okay,
in
so
Richmond,
you
yep.
know about the Waymo that because they have tons of
Oh,
those.
yeah, yeah, uh-huh, yep, we see them
Have
all the
you
time.
driven in one or have you rode in one?
Oh, no, I wanted to, we seen them, and I was just like, "It
Yeah.
looks cool," and then, yeah, I got a
Uh-huh.
Tesla, and I did the
Oh,
full
do you?
self-driving, yeah, that
Yeah.
that was fun,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
You
fun,
know, all these
yeah.
years, and I've loved cool cars and fun cars, right? But I've never even driven a Tesla. And I keep saying,
Oh,
I gotta
okay.
experience that. But I think I'm more excited about the Waymo than I am the Tesla. I the
Oh,
Waymo
yeah,
just
yeah,
is like whenever and they're everywhere. Well, whenever one drives, of course, I saw one that had an accident a couple of days ago, and the police were looking really weird, like, "Who do I talk to?" There's nobody there.
oh,
The car the car
oh,
was
man, yeah, how do
yeah,
you trade
yeah, how do
insurances?
you even communicate with anybody and there's no person, right? So, anyway, I wanna
Oh,
do a,
yeah.
I wanna do a Waymo run, and I'm gonna record it so I can show people, "I did this, I checked it out."
Oh, yeah, keep me posted, I'll let you know
Yeah,
if I ride
yeah,
one too,
yeah. I
yeah,
think it
just to
will be
check it out.
fun, and especially for our clients to see that we're kinda, like, trying to be up with time and up with things and how they're going. That definitely differentiates us, is when we're able to tap into all of
Oh,
these
yeah.
new things that are coming about, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk a
uh-huh.
little bit about the value that your firm and you're good with time, right? We're cool. Okay.
Oh, yep,
So your
yep.
firm is built uh, on your values and communication, ownership, and working smarter. How do these values show up in the way that you work with your clients?
Communication
Okay.
is always key. I always tell folks like, "Hey, keep clients
Mhm.
posted. Just let them know, hey, things are being worked on."
Mhm.
And, the speed
Mhm.
too, really taking that from when I worked in tech was like, "Hey, let's not be those firms that take
Mm.
weeks to respond to our
Mhm.
clients, let's get it out 72 business hours
Yeah.
at the max, and then so we can get it out timely." And then taking, a big
Yeah.
part of ownership. So I was just like, "Hey, the relationship is still yours at
Mhm.
the end of the day." And it's just like, hey, you're gonna own the relationship with the client and then making sure you're gonna
Mhm.
take care of them. And this is like your kind of your book
Mhm.
right here. So, just taking ownership with your client, but then also for your own
Sure.
work product, right? If your name's on that tax return, are you gonna be
Mm.
proud or not?
Mhm.
So you want to have that ownership,
Right.
internal, external. And then the last one's my favorite is just, work smarter, not
Mhm.
harder. And really, we just changed. I told my whole team like, no more Google, no more Yahoo. You go start at
Mhm.
ChatGPT and then you go find your answers. Don't let the AI do the thinking
Right.
for you. Validate it, of course, have professional
Yeah.
skepticism and see if the answer actually makes sense. Because, it
Sure,
hallucinates. It's not
sure.
perfect yet. But, it'll save you, 4 or 5 minutes. But if you're
Mhm.
Googling, 5 times a day, that's half an hour we're
Mhm.
talking about. Half an hour compounded adds up really fast. So embracing just the tools that we have today. We just recently trialed out a new AI
Yeah.
tax prep tool, helped you get the numbers into the software, but it wasn't not there
Okay.
yet. And I was like, darn, I really actually wanted it because I wanted my people to work on higher value stuff versus
Sure.
data entry, which was difficult. So it's
Mm,
not there yet,
mhm.
but it'll get
Mhm.
there soon. So it's always seeing what
Yep.
tools are out there just to keep on embracing and trying it out and
Mhm.
see if it works for you
Mhm.
first. But yeah, that's like
Yeah.
at least try.
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
Yeah, well, this is
Yeah.
a way you can stay ahead of the curve. This is a way that you can differentiate yourself of to your clients and show them, you know, I'm in constant education mode. I'm constantly learning what's next, what's new, you know, what's more efficient. And there's things that are happening that create more efficiency for our overall, tasks. And most of that is with AI and technology. So it's like you either get on board and roll with it, embrace it, or you stand behind and then you lose your value proposition to your client, right?
Oh, yep, exactly. Yeah, no, just those very small tweaks can just make a
Mhm.
big difference. There was this AI
Mm.
email
Mhm.
platform. It was
Yep.
Superhuman. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you heard of that one, but at first I was really skeptical. I'm like, do I want to pay $40 a month for
Right.
emails?
Right.
And I was like, oh, but then seeing how fast it can move, also seeing how well it can keep
Right.
you organized, it's been an amazing investment actually, just in terms of the time because even the follow-ups, it reminds you to
Right.
follow up. I'm
That's
like,
right.
"Wow." So, it's small
Mhm.
tweaks, but, the one like, I always compare a lot of things to,
Mm.
like, say, Olympic
Okay.
trials, right? Olympic records. We're talking a hundredth or maybe a
Mhm.
thousandth a
Mm.
millisecond difference between 1st and 2nd
Wow.
place. So why don't you take those same principles for
Yeah.
your own business where, hey, if you're just even 1% better than the
Mhm.
next competitor, it's gonna show
Mhm.
over time too. So, making sure you can have those investments and smart
Yeah.
investments, right? You need probably at least a 20% gain or else it's probably not worth it. But if it's more than a 20% ROI
Yeah.
all day.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, so let's talk about some actionable wisdom and legacy. What's one practical step every entrepreneur, and I would imagine your client base. Tell me, this is not even one of the questions. I just came up for me right now. What are the client types that you work with? Are they entrepreneurs, employees? Da, 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 da. What's your what do you say is the majority of your client base, or give us a breakdown of your client base?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I always, explain it as, like, it's like a big triangle,
Mhm.
and, usually it always starts with, a lot of real estate, so 66% of our clients own at least one piece
Okay.
of rental property, so big investor base, and then another about, of those, they're mixed, though, so they'll have businesses 'cause you have a business that has the cash to go
Mhm.
buy real estate, so we work with a lot of, like, S corps, sole
Mhm.
proprietors,
Mhm.
LLC owners, and we try to get a lot of our folks in the
Mhm.
S corps. So a lot of small business owners, and those are actually well, one of the you always meet so many random
Yeah.
business owners like, "Wow, I didn't know there's a service for this." I have one guy, he consults on waste,
Really?
like
Yeah.
trash, and he makes these figures
Mm.
consulting on it, and I'm like, "What do you do?" And then he told me the whole thing. I'm like, "Wow, there's a whole
Yeah.
science behind it."
Yep.
So, it's cool to meet all those walks of life, and then being in the Bay
Mhm.
Area here, there's just a lot of tech, high W-2 folks
I
who tend to
see.
invest
Yeah.
in real estate, so they all lead up that's why it's like real estate's the top of
Mhm.
the triangle, and then at the bottom, left and right, is small businesses plus high
Mhm.
W-2, and that's who we service, but a lot of our strategies actually revolve around real estate just because it
Yep.
builds wealth. You're gonna have, that freedom,
Yeah.
flexibility eventually, and it's tax preferred too,
Mhm.
and you get the double
Mhm.
benefit. So, I always say, "Hey, real estate, you gotta end up towards it." It's not easy though, I'll tell you
Right.
that, right? And like, people say, "Oh, yeah, real estate," but, you got some big
Mhm.
wins, you had some
Right.
bad losses. I've experienced a
Yep.
couple of those this year, but it's part of the learning that you
Mhm.
have to go
I
through.
agree. It's definitely, um
Mhm.
I guess they call it trial and error, but, you learn
Yeah.
from being engaged in it, right? And every scenario, as long as I've been in real estate, I can seriously, honestly say that every transaction is different. It's totally different.
Mm.
So, and it's a makeup of the different people who are owning the real estate and or are selling the real estate and or are buying the real estate. Everybody's got their own character. Every scenario is different. I don't care what you say. If I look back 25 years and look at every transaction that I've ever done, um, I can't say any of them are the same. They're not the same. Each one of them
Yeah.
has a different cloth, if you would. So you got to stay
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of your toes in order to stay, you know, continue to add value for those clients who need your expertise, you know. So one practical step every entrepreneur, investor, or professional listening today, what could they do right now to be more tax efficient?
Right now, be more tax efficient. I'll probably give them for
Okay.
3 different ones, for the crowds. So if you're a small business owner, I would wanna see, some type of deferral strategy. So your retirement accounts are gonna be big. So you have a solo 401k, you can put up $70,000
Yeah.
into that thing. So you can stash that away
Okay.
from the government. If you're a real estate investor, really looking at your cost segregation, bonus depreciation, now that it's
Mm-hmm.
100%, it's time to go shopping for real estate right now versus previous law was only 40%. So you can only squeeze the lemon for 40% before. Now you can squeeze all the juice out of it and get
Right.
100%. And then for the high W-2 person, look into the Airbnb short-term rental loophole. It's going to be big for you and also take advantage of all your pre-tax benefits. 401k, HSA, FSA, milk all those for
Right.
what you got.
So it really depends on the
Yeah.
individual and what their portfolio looks like or what their whole scenario looks like as to whether or not they take one of these directions, whether, like you say, it's a 401k or the passive income, the Airbnb income, and is it true up there in Northern California? Because I know they have lots of different Airbnb guidelines. Do you have to live in the property and rent out, like, with a duplex or more up to 4 units? You can't
Oh, yeah.
do short-term leases, but you can be an Airbnb host if you live in 1 unit and you, have the other unit vacant, is that correct?
Yeah, it depends on the city. I know the San Francisco one. I know one client, he had a house in San Francisco, and they had to do that. So, and then also getting the permit and the license too, to register with Airbnb. So it's always city dependent on that side and where you want to be at. But always say like, hey, do you want to check regulations and laws before you invest into it, before you can. So always having, this is way up your area, not my part, but just having a
Yeah.
contingency on that property saying, I only will buy this if I can pass with the city, I can do
Right,
Airbnbs.
right. Yeah, yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. And we even have contingencies now on the insurance because insurance is a
Oh,
big
yeah.
deal, and a lot of insurance companies are not writing policies today, and it's due to the recent,
Yeah.
even before the fires here in Southern California, even before the fires, they were getting really tough about taking out a policy. Some companies won't write at all in certain areas at all. So we now
Oh, yeah.
have in our contracts, there is a uh, contingency to to get insurance. So normally you have a financial contingency, appraisal, loan, and inspection, right? Now we have that, plus we have the HOA, and then we have the insurance clause. So
Oh, that's
yeah, yeah,
strategic. Yep.
it's like you have to, because if you can't get insurance, your lender, if you're doing this through a loan, is not gonna lend unless you have a policy in place, right? So
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, that's as you bring that up is, because I had one I was helping my
Mhm.
parents on. It was down in
Mhm.
Menifee, I believe. And they would, no one would had would
Mhm.
insure it. So what my insurance agent did, he was my
Right.
client too and a friend. He there's a state
Mhm.
program, and so we had to pay a premium
Mhm.
to the state. And then he then went to a second part. So it was like a
Mm.
two-prong
Yeah.
attack he did. State to do the basic and then another normal company to do some more
Yes.
ancillary stuff. I just trust him
Right.
with all of it, but I'm like, "Oh, that's how it works." But we couldn't find insurance at
So you
all for a
see. So
long
you
time.
see what I mean? And it gets
Yeah, oh, yeah.
worse as we continue to have these, natural disasters. And there's some people who were not insured when we had those fires. There's a lot of people that weren't insured, and I'm
Oof.
like, "Ooh, that's a tough one." So, I wanna thank everybody for tuning in today. Um, this is where wisdom meets legacy. That's what Elite Insights is all about. It's where wisdom meets legacy, and today we've had the pleasure to visit a bit with Toni Hung. You will get a copy of this program, and we invite you to share with your audience to show you off. But we'll stay connected with you because you know anybody that passes the test of being able to come onto the show is somebody that we honestly feel are wired to make a difference in others' lives, okay? And that's key. You're clear about your
Oh, thank you so
purpose,
much.
and you're very sharp about and your brand is I love the brand. So, I'm very happy that, we made this connection, and we'll just stay in touch, right? You're we're we're
Oh, excellent,
we're in
Tony.
this
Oh,
relationship
100%.
now for life. You're not getting away. No, just kidding.
Exactly, that's how I go with it. That's
Yeah,
how I love it, so it's
good.
gonna be amazing here. Thanks for having us
Sure.
today here too, and yeah, sharing the insights. It's gonna be fun, and I'm part of the
Yeah.
tribe, and yeah, I'm excited to meet others in the
Awesome.
community.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody that's joined in. This is Toni Patillo. We are talking about Elite Insights, where legacy meets wisdom, or where wisdom meets legacy. Either way it goes, we're here to rock and roll with you. Thank you so much.